I think innovation is critical, of course, to business, as they always have to do new things. But sometimes I think entrepreneurship is underrated, because you also have to have doers within your companies. And I think a lot of the skills within the entrepreneurship field is very important, also for larger corporations and for the public sectors. You need to have something that are actually willing to take the chances and push for making the change, regardless whether it's a brand new idea. It's just somebody that have to be pushing on and doing something. I think you can see entrepreneurship are, of course, in many ways game changers in the world, especially now in the digital age, where you see large companies growing up from 0 to 1,000 within a very few years. You also see that in Denmark. We have quite a lot of new companies picking up that are really changing the industrial scene in Denmark, because we have a lot of years when we really had the same companies every year. It was Carlsberg, it was Novo. Now you see a lot of new companies coming in very fast. I think some of the important, interesting companies that we see now, I mean, you have, for instance, in the tech space, you have Vivino, you have some of these companies. One of the companies that we've been working with quite a lot in Danish Business Authority is Labster. It's this new way of actually doing experiments within the computer, which would make teaching science much more interesting. I think that's a very interesting, very promising company. They have a lot of very good cooperation with very high-level universities. So there's a lot of really neat stuff going on. I think it's important that if your university is sort of trying to sort of make a stake in entrepreneurship, that you're also part of the environment and you actually are part of the ecosystem. What we can see when we go around the world to see what are actually happening in the very successful places, you see that there are ecosystems where everything is much more linked together than they are in Denmark now. So I think it's very important that CBS sort of acknowledge that they have a role and try really hard to see, I mean, what value can they add to the Danish ecosystem. For instance, they could probably do something locally within the municipality where they are, but they could also be part of some of the challenges. I mean, it's very hard to scale up, for instance. That's something where there might be some ability, some teaching capability within CBS that they could add to the value, to the environment. So this whole thing about, I mean, what could we as CBS add to the ecosystem? I think that would be a very important question to ask. Most entrepreneurs have this attitude that they really would like to talk to other entrepreneurs because they know sort of, okay, we know each other, we are peers. But you can also see in a lot of other countries, there is a clear link between universities and entrepreneurship. But it's just very hard. I mean, you have to work on that. We always know the good examples of the MIT, the Stanford, but it's something that would take time, and it would be a long-term strategy for CBS if they want to do that. I mean, first of all, if you have a lot of CBS students that become entrepreneurs and have some affiliation back to the university, I think that would be something that really would help, because then they could be the credible interlink between CBS and the environment. So sort of first focus on the students, make sure you keep the interaction with the students that become entrepreneurs, use them as guest teachers, guest entrepreneurs, and then slowly build those links.